8 times, he won 8. Trump endorsed on the U.S. House level 101 times, he's won 101 times. Trump endorsed U.S. Senate, he's won 8 times, and we're about to find out tonight whether or not that will be number 9, Laura. So 50 minutes, and now you can take the endorsement from 8 to 9 endorsed, and from 8 to 9 winner. Ken Paxton was outspent 9-1.
They want to win. I know how to win. Some of them don't know how to win. I know how to win. I think I've proven that, haven't I?
You certainly are going against the Republican establishment here. Why?
You know, Ken Paxton has been a fighter in the AG's office. He's been a fighter for the president, and he's going to continue doing that in Washington. And I think that's exactly what the people of Texas are looking for.
Hope you're having a good time watching more and more victories play out for our country. It seems like the harder the left and talking heads on podcasts try to steer people from the MAGA and Trump, the more we win. We have so many reposts from President Trump on cue, phrases that match our board, and a clearer picture of how this operation is playing out to expose the evil players in our government and beyond. Folks, we're at 511,000 followers on Rumble. Thank you so much. That's our go-to for free speech. And wouldn't you know it, thanks to you hitting that like button and more on our Memorial Day video, we were #1 on the leaderboard. We really appreciate all of you guys and your support and your prayers. Just remember, we've got some great gear. I'll be showing you some pictures later. Folks sent in of folks wearing our gear, and we know gear and more, and we've got some great deals for you coming up.
The president has gotten involved in many races. I want to be very specific about the language here. On the federal level, talking about governor's races, House races, and Senate races, this is his scorecard, okay? He has endorsed 8 governors. Now, some of these races weren't real close, didn't have a lot of competition, but some of them did. I mean, we saw what happened in Louisiana, the primary of Bill Cassidy. We saw what happened a week ago tonight with Tom Massey in Kentucky. And now we're seeing it again tonight, okay, in Texas. Governor level, Trump endorsed 8. He won 8 times. U.S. House, 101 endorsed. He won 101 endorsed in the House, and he won 101. Let me put on the pencil right here and show you this. U.S. Senate, Sean, he has endorsed 8 candidates. And prior to tonight, he had won 8 times. And now you can take the endorsement from 8 to 9 endorsed, and from 8 to 9 winner. Ken Paxton was outspent 9-1. Got the endorsement from Trump, got the endorsement of Wesley Hunt, the congressman who got knocked out 2.5 months ago. And now we got the setup in Paxton of Tellerico. Many Republicans felt if John Cornyn could win tonight, that he could be an easy winner over Tellerico. We'll never know that now. And a lot of Republicans felt that they could save a lot of money too if Cornyn won. But that did not happen. Here's what will happen, Sean, in November. In Texas, probably the most expensive Senate race that we have seen ever. I mean, we were looking at some of the numbers from, I guess it was Georgia in 2020. And David Perdue up against John Ossoff, all the money combined with all the outside groups thrown in together, spent about $500 million. This primary alone, between Cornyn and Paxton, they spent well over $100 million. Paxton 9-1, well over, Cornyn spent 9-1, like more than $90 million compared to Paxton's 10. With Tellerico and Paxton, with the U.S. Senate razor thin right now, Sean, you could be looking at the most expensive primary ever. That would surpass what we saw in Georgia in 2020.
So, kind of interesting, right, as we look at this and we hear what he has to say there on Fox. A couple of things. When we talk about Fox News, I get pretty disappointed in the way they deliver their message. This guy obviously tries to really project to this whole thing that played out in Texas, that Republicans really thought that Cornyn would be the one that would take down and win Tallarico against the Democrats. But boy, now it's going to be really close because Ken Paxton's, not the one that the Republicans really wanted. Let's translate. Paxton's not the one that the RINOs really wanted. The RINOs spent 9 times more than Ken Paxton. The RINOs, who are aligned with very evil things, and they align with the Democrats, and they align with anything against Trump, a lot of them, tried everything they could to destroy those that supported Ken Paxton. But John Cornyn, they really needed him in there because he was the candidate that the RINOs really wanted. Now, according to Fox News, the way he's talking, it's like, boy, they're going to be spending all kinds of money. It's going to be more difficult now because Paxton's in to beat Tallarico. It's going to be razor thin. You see how they put that into the minds of the people that watch Fox, and thankfully, the mainstream media is not winning this one anymore.
Holy cow, we are off and running. Denton County, this is a big one. Fast growing, just north of Dallas and Fort Worth here. You see 62% of the vote. What does that mean?
And so just showing you that even on some other networks, they were freaking out because there is such a huge margin playing out at the very beginning as the numbers started rolling in for Ken Paxton. Showing once again, these endorsements play out pretty big for many. Trump has now flipped a 4-term sitting Senate incumbent in a deep red state primary against the wishes of GOP leadership in Washington. Cornyn defended the filibuster. Cornyn voted against Trump priorities at the moments that mattered. Cornyn assumed seniority would carry him. Trump endorsed Paxton. Paxton ran on the Save America Act and on ending the filibuster. Paxton won the runoff outright. The 30-point swing in Texas counties in 2.5 months is the receipt. Notice the audience for the quote. This is not aimed at the base. The base already knew. This is aimed at every Senate Republican holding the Save America Act hostage. Trump just named the price of staying in his way. Cornyn is Exhibit 1. Cassidy in Louisiana is on the same map. Thune in South Dakota is reading the same returns. The endorsement is now a weapon they cannot survive without. Endorsement matters. The 30-point swing is the proof. The Senate is on notice. Now, just a reminder about this Cornyn guy. Look at this. John Cornyn ran an amnesty for illegals and then lost his primary by 30%. I hope the GOP is paying attention, putting out messages like this. You can hear exactly what's going on. Let's remind you about him on this side, too.
Are you certain that you will run for re-election in 2020? You are? Yeah.
Do you think the God willing.
Well, yeah, exactly. Senator, what does it cost?
Inshallah.
So he's quoting information from Allah. And he says, yeah, I'm certain I'm going to win. Let's remind you of this one, too, from him.
Hi, I'm Texas Senator John Cornyn. I want to take a moment to say, I know this year's Ramadan will be different from those before, and that's why it's important to keep the spirit of hope and community alive. I wish you all a good fast and that you and your friends and families stay safe during this challenging time. Ramadan Mubarak.
Yep, there we are. Just a reminder of what this guy did. The folks woke up and said, nope, not anymore. We've had enough. Let's listen to CNN, shall we? Just real quick.
This is a bad night for America. You have a good man running against a bad man, and the bad man won. And just as a parent, that's tough.
We had a good man, Cornyn, running against a bad man, Paxton, and the bad one run. So when CNN's going against him, you know we did the right thing. These guys have lost their mind. Cornyn is finally rejected.
In a way. But they're not going to let me do that. Wow. To the people in this room, to the people watching at home.
You're listening to Ken Paxton.
And to the people of the great state of Texas, tonight, we just made history. I want to thank my family, my kids, my grandchildren, the Paxton Patriots, and every single person here today Without your love, your support, and your prayers, we would not be here tonight celebrating this incredible victory. I'd also like to thank all of the grassroots, local, state, and national leaders who supported this campaign, including Congressman Brandon Gill, who just spoke, Lance Gooden.
Brandon Gill. You know, he was asked about this from the Communist News Network, Brandon Gill, about supporting Paxton.
You certainly are going against the Republican establishment here. Why?
You're going against the Republican establishment. How could you?
Well, that's right, and I don't agree with that assessment. But what I do think this is it's a time for the people of Texas to choose. Do we want the old school GOP, which supported amnesty, which Senator Cornyn has a long history of supporting, or do we want somebody who's a fighter, who's going to go to Washington and stand up for Texas values and for the people of Texas? You know, Ken Paxton has been a fighter in the AG's office. He's been a fighter for the president, and he's going to continue doing that in Washington. And I think that's exactly what the people of Texas are looking for. In other words, the people of Texas are looking for somebody who's going to do what they said they were going to do on the campaign trail. And I believe that's not John Cornyn. That is Ken Paxton.
How about that, huh? Standing up for all this. Now, of course, CNN's already talking about the Tallarico Democrat, right? They're going to start pushing this hard, just like they did, you know, against President Trump. Oh, Hillary Clinton's definitely going to win. He's going to beat him so bad. You know how it is. They're going to pour it in. They're going to pull their talking heads, the Mockingbird media together to make it look like there's no chance for Ken Paxton. You guys aren't happy, but they're already doing it.
Tallarico is well funded. Tallarico will continue to raise money, but it's interesting to me that now Republicans have to worry about deep red Texas because they have a flawed candidate who does not know how to raise. And you're now seeing
they have a flawed candidate. John Cornyn was amazing. He supported all of the mosques being built. He supported so many things that were so good for the Democrats, but he's gone now. And they've got this great guy. Well, I mean, bad guy Paxton.
That currently play out.
All these analysis of this race is sort of the differences between what a Cornyn or a Paxton would look like here. I'm thinking about the differences between Tallarico and literally every other Texan. Don't know any Texans who believe in 6 genders other than Tallarico. Don't know any Texans who said it's immoral to eat meat other than Tallarico. Don't know any Texans who walk around saying things, you know, God is non-binary. You all are both Texans. Do you know any other Texan who even talks like that? Issues aside, who says these things out loud? When this gets adjudicated, all that money coming in from California and New York, it'll be well spent in Texas.
Way to go, Scott Jennings. And then these guys don't have anything now. All they're doing is playing the attacker. Oh, Jennings, we're going to have a good time going over this one. Tallarico's going to get wiped out. Western Lensman just kind of sharing a clip here of what Tallarico is going to try to do to get ahead of all of the things that, you know, the stupidity that comes from his mouth.
And so they're going to throw everything they've got at us. They're going to dig up all kinds of, you know, old statements, take them out of context, and try to paint them in the worst possible light, because this is the only playbook they have in 2026. And so they're going to throw...
Translation. I'm going to distance myself from my own words and beliefs so I can pretend to be a moderate until after I'm elected. Oh, way to go, Western Lensman, on that one. Folks, you won't believe the rest of these that are coming up. I mean, we got the Republican U.S. senators with an F Liberty score. Bill Cassidy out. John Cornyn gone. Coming up, Susan Collins, Lindsey Graham. See how that one goes. Mitch McConnell, John Thune, Lisa Murkowski, Tom Tillis. Got some others. See how that all works out. And I'm going to show you some more out of Texas. And great comms from President Trump as he's reposting Q like crazy. Stick around. Folks, many of us want our furry best friends to thrive. At LTPetClub247.com are all natural, USA-made supplements and treats packed with immune-boosting Coriolis versicolor mushrooms. Shed antler power, transform your pet's health. Guess what? They're so pure, they're great for humans too.
have been suffering from ulcerative colitis my whole life. I started dosing it very, very hard, like 4 60-milligram tablets 4 times a day. To make a long story short, within about 3 weeks, I stopped bleeding.
From biscuits supporting bones, joints, and organs to mushroom blends for wellness, we've got pets and people covered. Plus, we donate profits to animal rescues like the Beagle Freedom Project. Shop affordable, natural solutions. Head to ltpetclub247.com now for vitality for you and your pet. LT Pet Club 247, health for all, 24/7. Get yours in the description box below today. Well, just in case I didn't give you enough on this Tallarico guy, let me just give you a little preview here on what he said with his mask on.
We have, I think, heard more and more issues of animal welfare. I think not just because it's the right thing to do and the moral thing to do, but also it's, as all of you know, necessary to fight climate change. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption and that we try to respect animals in all aspects of society. And so I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign. So we are only buying vegan products from our local vegan businesses. Some of you may know Big Nona's. They were little Nona's, and then they opened up a brick and mortar, so another Big Nona's. But we just got our pizza from there.
So there you go. And according to Fox, boy, you know, Cornyn was the one that was going to beat this guy because Texans are, you never know, they might go for Tallarico with all that money they're spending. Hey, Texas, we don't need your meat. Ay, ay, ay. All right, game over, deep state. And you are looking at your screen. If you're not, you're listening in. This meme was posted by Spiritual Street Fighter. It has the Q surrounding President Trump. Well, President Trump retruthed that. Way to go, Spiritual Street Fighter. And he also posted, "Stay with me, deplorables. You'll love how this movie ends." That was posted by Q Plus on the Q board in May of 2020. So again, President Trump has been on that tirade again where he posts and reposts without being ashamed of the Q board and what it represents for all of us and helping us wake up to many things. Part of that wake-up call, in case you guys were wondering, the Patriot Oasis told us the race is called. Maez Middleton has defeated Chip Roy in the primary for Texas Attorney General. Chip Roy did not file to run for another term in Congress and will be out of office after this year. A lot of RINOs are losing big. Now, I went below the video, this actual post, and saw so many people defending Chip Roy, and I was like, wow, did they forget that he said certain things? Let's go back to some reminders.
Multiple events with Ron DeSantis where he's shaking their hands and looking them in the eye while Donald Trump hangs out in his basement in Florida, afraid to actually debate. What's he afraid of?
Also,
what's Trump afraid of? Going against DeSantis. Remember that?
That some of our brothers and sisters, particularly in the MAGA camp, I think, particularly enjoy the circular firing squad. You want to come at me and call
President of the United States deserves.
So if you're a MAGA and you start exposing him, he uses expletive to basically call you out. Do you guys remember that one? So here's another one here.
Universal condemnation for what was clearly, in my opinion, impeachable conduct, pressuring the vice president to violate his oath of the Constitution to count the electors. His open and public pressure, courageously rejected by the vice president, purposely seeded the false belief among the president's supporters, including those assembled on January 6th, that there was a legal path for the president. It was foreseeable and reckless to sow such a false belief that could lead to violence and rioting by loyal supporters whipped into a frenzy.
So he's basically going after President Trump for J6, even though we know the whole truth about it. He knew better. So anyway, just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of those things for those that are behind Chip Roy. Just a reminder for you that. Now, other things in Texas. Fort Worth ISD announced Shema Al-Zubi as the new principal of Western Hills High School. Al-Zubi has posted pro-Palestinian content and reposted content supportive of Sharia law. ISD are you endorsing this? Is Fort Worth ISD endorsing this? Just more for you guys to ponder. Listen to this from J.D. Vance as they're going after all the fraud throughout the United States.
In just 2 months, we exposed billions of dollars in benefits that have been stolen from the American people. We referred over $22 billion in fraudulent small business loans back to the Treasury for collection. We deferred more than $1.3 billion in fraudulent Medicaid reimbursements that were coming from various states, particularly California. We put a 6-month hold on enrollments for new hospice and home health care providers because so many of the newer hospice providers were not actually providing hospice services, but were just focused on fraud. So we're going to cut that out for a little bit and try to get to a place where we can actually certify that the people providing hospice services are actually providing those very necessary and important services. We recovered taxpayer funds from the $135 billion stolen after the floodgates were open in the immediate aftermath of COVID. We have found $6.3 billion in suspected fraudulent government contracts, which were mostly awarded during the last administration, and that has stopped. And finally, we blocked $60 million in student aid fraud that should have gone to young people trying to get an education, but instead we're going to fraudsters.
Yeah. Pointing it all out. I mean, big numbers. $22 billion in small business loans. Fraud members coming out. Pretty astonishing. $1.3 billion in Medicaid reimbursements. Wow. $6.3 billion in government contracts. $60 million in student aid. The amount of fraud and waste in federal program after program is sickening. Glad that they're diving into all of this. My goodness.
As Andrew very ably pointed out, these are not victimless crimes. Sometimes the most vulnerable people in our community are the ones who suffer when we don't take fraud seriously. One of the cases that was part of Colin's series of indictments last week in Minnesota stood out to me, and I think highlights how particularly egregious some of these fraudsters can be. And it's a man who was supposed to be providing services to allow elderly people to live full and independent lives. And what happened instead is that the man who was supposed to provide these services, reimbursed by the Medicaid program, was providing nothing. No services, no help, no check-ins. And the very man, the vulnerable elderly man that he was supposed to be protecting and looking after, was reimbursed by the taxpayer in order to do exactly that. That man died. And one day before he died, after months of being neglected by the caretaker who was getting reimbursed by the American people, one day before he died, he submitted his final reimbursement for services he never provided for a man he never cared for. And that man lived his final moments on this earth neglected while a fraudster got rich by providing services that he never actually provided. That's what we're trying to stop, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we have to fight back against. It's a shame that anything like that happens. But if it does happen, the only way to protect those people and the only way to protect the American taxpayer is to ensure that the fraudsters go to prison and that they stop this ridiculous scam on the American people.
Yeah. Pointing out stories that mean so much to so many. You know, there's a massive win in Indiana. Nearly 300 illegal immigrants busted for fraudulently obtaining commercial driver's licenses from sanctuary states like California and New York. President Trump is cracking down hard, revoking these commercial driver's licenses from illegals driving big rigs after a string of deadly crashes, and red states are stepping up. While blue states hand out commercial licenses to migrants like candy, Indiana just dropped the hammer. Enough is enough. American roads are not a free-for-all for illegal invaders. And of course, those illegal invaders were allowed in. Obama, Biden, two worst presidents in American history. President Trump posted, "All roads lead to Obama. Retruth if you want public military tribunals." He posted that May 18th, 2025. Remember, he posted, "If your justice system has been corrupted, how do you bypass the corruption? Military tribunals." Remember, that was posted November 23rd, 2025. Grandpa's free advice. He put out some good stuff in our last video. And he continued with this, and I want to show you. Quit trashing Obama's accomplishments, people will say. He has done more than any other president before him. Here's a list of his impressive accomplishments. You guys ready for this? Number 1, first president to be photographed smoking a joint. First president to apply for college aid as a foreign student, then deny he was a foreigner. First president to have a social security number from a state he has never lived in. First president to preside over a cut to the credit rating of the United States. First to violate the War Powers Act. First to be held in contempt of court for illegally obstructing oil drilling in the Gulf of Mexico when it was called Mexico. First president to require all Americans to purchase a product from a third world party. First one to spend $1 trillion on shovel-ready jobs when there was no such thing as a shovel-ready job. First one to abrogate bankruptcy law to turn over control of companies to his union supporters. First one to bypass Congress and implement the DREAM Act through executive fiat. First president to order a secret amnesty program that stopped the deportation of illegal immigrants across the U.S., including those with criminal convictions. First one to demand a company hand over $20 billion to one of his political appointees. First president to tell CEO of a major corporation, Chrysler, to resign. First president to terminate America's ability to put a man in space. First president to cancel the National Day of Prayer and to say that America is no longer a Christian nation. First president to have a law signed by an auto pen without being present. First one to arbitrarily declare an existing law unconstitutional and refuse to enforce it. First president to threaten insurance companies if they publicly spoke out on the reasons for their rate increases. First one to tell a major manufacturing company in which state it is allowed to locate a factory. First one to file lawsuits against the states he swore an oath to protect: Arizona, Wisconsin, Ohio, Indiana. First president to withdraw an existing coal permit that had been properly issued years ago. The first one to actively try to bankrupt an American industry, coal. First one to fire an inspector general of AmeriCorps for catching one of his friends in a corruption case. Obama's the first one to appoint 45 czars to replace elected officials in his office. First one to surround himself with radical left-wing anarchists. First president to hide his birth, medical, educational, and travel records. First one to win a Nobel Peace Prize for doing nothing to earn it. First one to go on multiple global apology tours and concurrent insult our friends tours. First president to go on 17 lavish vacations, in addition to date nights and Wednesday evening White House parties for his friends, paid for by taxpayers. My goodness. And one of the other memes I kind of skipped over a while ago was this. President Trump reposted on Truth Social, "Don't forget the one who funded Iran and caused this war to happen, Obama." It's got Obama holding a pallet of cash, the cash that he delivered to our enemies. I've got a lot more to get into, especially with California, the LA mayor race. You don't want to miss that, and some more posting from the White House on things that add up right next to the cue board. Stick around. Have you been dealing with nagging pain, restless nights, constant stress, or just feeling drained? What if the solution was something as simple as wearing a watch? Introducing the new and improved WaveWatch 2.2, the world's first sound frequency therapy watch. This isn't just a timepiece, it's 166 powerful frequency sets, over 1,250 targeted frequencies designed to help your body restore balance naturally. Wear it on your wrist, pick a set for pain relief, deeper sleep, detox, energy boost, stress melt away, or even nerve support, and let gentle, safe sound waves do the work. No apps, no Bluetooth, just pure natural harmony. I use the watch for my back pain and also to regulate my sleep. My friend used it who had terrible knee pain affecting his bowling. Now he bowls pain-free. Another shared in less than a week improvements in liver, hip pain, nerve pain, and emotional balance. It's a blessing. Thousands are experiencing fast-acting wellness without chemicals or side effects. Right now, WaveWatch is giving And We Know fans a special deal. You get 15% off with code AUK. That's code AWK. That's a big savings on the WaveWatch 2.2. Don't wait. Supplies are limited and pre-orders are moving fast. Visit wavewatch.com/pages/AWK today. Use code AWK and take the first step toward feeling better naturally, because when we know better, we do better. Order now. By the way, quick update. Just noticed in the break that the Radical Texas for Palestine org is planning to protest the Fort Worth ISD and support the removed Islamic principles. So that means she was removed. So I gave you guys the report that she was put in. It looks like they removed her. The group's background image shows Palestinians using weapons and violence while waving a Palestinian flag. So they're going to go in there and try to get her back in. They're going to protest. Removed as principal at FWISD after online anti-Muslim and anti-Palestinian hate campaigns. See what they're going to do? So they place them, then they wait for you to remove them, and then they say, oh, you are anti-Muslim, anti-Palestinian. No, we're pro-American. And this is the stuff that they have, Texas for Palestine. You can see the picture there. Yeah, just want to make sure you got that update. And let's move on with this one.
A jarring one to see, I think, just in terms of where expectations were. Green won Fort Bend in a landslide in the preliminary, getting crushed by Menifee here in his home base. And again, that's Harris County. And so our decision desk is saying that long-time Democratic incumbent Al Green, he, among other things, if you watch the State of the Union address every year, he's often prominent there for a variety of reasons. But Al Green losing here to Christian Menifee. So one incumbent had to go. Our decision desk says Al Green will be that incumbent.
Al Green, see ya. Kicked out of the chamber multiple times for his theatrics. Texas District 18, I figured that he'd be gone anyway, but hey, there you go, there's a plus. Election fraud in Florida, fake voter guides mailed to Republicans to cause chaos just before the primary. There were fake voter guides sent to Republican residents of Florida in August 2024 primary. They were made to look nearly identical to the real guides, same logo, but falsely claimed to be official 2024 membership-approved endorsements. So remember, you guys look out when you see this mail fraud, voter fraud, election interference, copyright infringement, impersonation of the Republican Party. Be really careful. Just a reminder for you out there as these elections play forward. So, wanted to show you this here. This is Karen Bass. So, the Los Angeles mayor candidate Spencer Pratt filed a formal complaint over Mayor Karen Bass blatantly violating the election law by electioneering within 100 feet of a ballot box and actively soliciting votes right at the polling site. Pratt wrote on X, Karen Bass just violated election law here. She is so accustomed to breaking the law with no accountability, she even filmed herself doing it. Well, those days are over. We just filed a formal complaint for illegally gaming the election. We must protect our democracy. Electioneering within 100 feet of a ballot box is against the law. Soliciting votes at a ballot box is against the law. These clear violations show reckless disregard for the rule of law in our democratic process. Someone in a position of power should be especially respectful for our democratic laws. Of course she isn't. But this is just a emblematic of Karen's mafia-like regime. It's rules for those, not for me. Here is the formal complaint. And he put that out on X for all to see. And there they are, just throwing in those votes. And she is going to be in big trouble with that, folks. Big trouble. But you know what? She'll get by with it. There'll be some judges that help her out. And all the politicians will step in to help her. And they'll come up with a reason why it's okay. That's just how they roll.
Yesterday, President Trump said, I heard he's a big MAGA person in response to you. Are you a big MAGA person?
So we have ABC News 7 interviewing Spencer Pratt. Of course, they're going to play the gotcha questions and listen to how he answers them.
Big nobody person. I'm a big Spencer Pratt Angelino person. I only represent myself, my community, Angelinos. I'm not part of any political party. I'm running a nonpartisan race. I'm supposed to represent all of Los Angeles, not either political party. And that's the problem. everyone has lost the plot. The mayor is supposed to be a nonpartisan race. That's why there's no letters next to anyone's name. The mayor currently has hijacked the position in the chair, made it a political seat. It's not supposed to be. You're supposed to make the police, water and power, fire, streets without potholes, the lights on, no drug addicts in front of the parks, no drug addicts naked in front of kids' school. That is my party. It's Angry Angelitos. So anybody can say I'm connected to whoever they want, and I'm fine with anybody saying I like Spencer Pratt. Great. Spread that message, because my message is common sense, basic human quality of life. So it should be everyone. Obama should love me. The president should love me. Biden should love me. Biden's wife should love. Everybody should love what I do, because I want kids to feel safe, moms to feel safe. I want drug addicts to get the help they need, not this empty bed, give them needles. I don't know. It just broke.
So they're sending in their forces. One of those is Samuel Jackson. Endorsement of Karen Bass. As he's speaking, look at your screen. You'll notice it looks a little different when he endorses her with Skid Row right there.
These are the times we need someone who understands government, who also understands the needs of the people. Someone who will go in the streets and gather the people together, not someone who will divide them. Karen Bass is that person. Karen Bass for mayor. These are the times we...
Yeah. So, of course, she was excited, honored to have endorsement of my dear friend Samuel L. Jackson. Always showing up for the people and causes he believes in, and I am grateful he is showing up for Los Angeles. Oh, my goodness, it's going to be an interesting one. Here's another one.
What are your plans for the over 40,000 homeless in Los Angeles?
Yeah, well, they're not homeless. They're drug addicts. Most of these people are addicted to fentanyl and meth. This isn't Spencer making it up.
Are you saying they don't have homes?
There is places for all of these people to sleep in LA. No matter what anybody tells you, we have housing and shelter for everyone that's living on the street. They're choosing to be on the street because they want to do drugs. They don't want rules. They don't want to listen. They want to have animals to abuse. This idea that they're forced on the street right now is a lie that our city is perpetuating. We've paid $24 billion to house these 40,000 people. There's spots for all of these people. They are choosing because they're an addict, and you can do fentanyl and sewer meth on the sidewalk with no repercussions. These places are not as they have to follow some rules. You can't torture a dog in some of these houses. You can't just attack people. You can't just be naked.
Where are you going to move?
Well, I just released a 9-minute video, so you can.
I think I saw your video.
Yeah, so it's very detailed.
But it's going to take time to build the facility and money.
No.
How fast do you think you can do it?
These people can literally. I went to Washington and I saw miles of the most insane prefabricated housing and building. I asked all the CEOs of these companies, say, how long does this take? I met with FEMA and HUD, 3 days. 3 days. And all of this is cheaper than trying to take over, kick senior citizens out of their buildings. This is what happens. They kick them out, and then the NGOs come in and they spend 4 years. This is LA. This is LA's timetable.
Where is this facility going to be?
It's on beautiful federal land property.
Where, in LA County?
Well, when I'm mayor, I'll go meet with the federal government and I'll get the property. Right now, I'm just running, so I can't give you the exact address because I don't have the legal responsibility to go represent Los Angeles and say, can I have this land? But when I'm mayor, I promise you, because we have the Olympics coming and everybody in the government wants LA to be the #1 most beautiful city, they will work with me to give me the land I need.
So you're going to move these 40,000 people somewhere and you're going to have this facility up in, you said, how long?
Here's what you got to realize.
90 days?
Let me explain something. These 40,000 people, 60% of them, City Watch just announced this week, are not from Los Angeles. They're not from California. These people have been bussed in by scam rehabs, scam NGOs, scam homeless nonprofits. These people, when I unplug them and say, we're not taking our tax money anymore, they're all going to Seattle where the mayor will welcome them. These are products to a lot of people. So the people that want to keep doing drugs and live on the sidewalk, a lot of these people are going to leave. The other ones, there's a lot of criminals. There's people that are getting naked in front of kids. They're going to jail. The people that are torturing animals, they're going to jail. So not everyone goes in the same box. So we have the money, we have the resources, and we have the facility.
Can you imagine if he asked the same questions out of Karen Bass, if they sit there and he leans forward and he's pushing, come on, tell me how you're going to do this. How are you going to move 40,000 people? How are you going to do this? These media folks are trained, they're operatives, and they're sent in to do nothing but cause division and pain and problems for those that have solutions, because they're all part of the same group. You see that playing out over and over again. I'm going to show you some more of Peace Through Strength posts from President Trump and the update on Iran and what's coming up with that here in a moment. First, I just want to remind you, we've got these new bedazzled crew neck and tees, new colors. We have new colors for the ladies, and also their 3/4 sleeve V-necks are finally here, and our 250-year anniversary products. Here's more great pictures of patriots wearing our gear. You can go to amweknow.com.
Companies to become rich, okay? That was why they, in my opinion, I think the Democrats did it for that reason. Do you know that insurance company stocks have gone up 16, 17, 1,800% over a short period of time? They've been paid trillions, not billions, trillions of dollars. And what I'm saying is very simple. I don't want to pay them anything. No money for the insurance companies. Sorry, fellas, I know them all. No money for the insurance companies. I want to pay the money directly to the people and let the people get their own health care. But you know who's fighting me in that? The Democrats.
So the Democrats flipping out after President Trump completely turned things around regarding Obamacare. He continues to go after that. And, you know, he posted, make sure that the White House posted this Peace Through Strength with President Trump on the picture. The mission is simple. We have peace through strength in several areas. Kimberly Auer reminded us of this. Eastern Standard Time, 12:07, posted for this. And we've got the leverage. Hussein leverage dropped 12:07. And you've got Wendy. You've got all these reminders about Obama and what he did to us. Peace through strength. The world is here. Recognize the movement is bigger than anyone can possibly imagine. Also, if America fails, the world fails. God bless our brave fighting men and women. They deserve our deepest gratitude. Through their strength and the millions of united patriots around the world, we will succeed in this fight. Peace through strength. And then right after that, it says, now comes the pain. President Trump put this out. Negotiations with the Islamic Republic of Iran are proceeding nicely. It will only be a great deal for all or no deal at all. Back to the battlefront and shooting, but bigger and stronger than ever before. Nobody wants that. During my discussions on Saturday with Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud of Saudi Arabia, and he goes through the list of many of the members. I'm not going to read them all to you. I stated that after all the work done by the United States to try and pull this very complex puzzle together, it should be mandatory that all of these countries at a minimum simultaneously sign into the Abraham Accords. Those countries discussed are Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, already a member, Qatar, Pakistan, Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, and Bahrain, already a member. It may be possible that one or two have a reason for not doing so, and that will be accepted, but most should be ready, willing, and able to make the settlement with Iran a far more historic event than it would otherwise be. The Abraham Accords have proven to be, for the countries involved, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, Sudan, and Kazakhstan, a financial, economic, and social boom, even during this time of conflict and war, with the current members never even suggesting leaving or taking so much as even a pause. The reason for this is that the Abraham Accords have been great for them and will be even better for everybody and bring true power, strength, and peace to the Middle East for the first time in 5,000 years. It will be a document respected like no other that has ever been signed anywhere in the world. Its level of importance and prestige will be unparalleled. It should start with the immediate signing by Saudi Arabia and Qatar, and everybody else should follow suit. If they don't, they should not be part of this deal, and that it shows bad intention. And speaking to numerous of the great leaders mentioned above, they would be honored as soon as our document is signed to have the Islamic Republic of Iran as part of the Abraham Accords. Wow, now that would be something special. This will be the most important deal that any of these great but always in conflict countries will ever sign. Nothing in the past or in the future will surpass it. Therefore, I'm mandatorily requesting that all countries immediately sign the Abraham Accords, and that if Iran signs its agreement with me, as President of the United States of America, it would be an honor to have them also be part of the unparalleled world coalition. The Middle East would be united, powerful, and economically strong, like perhaps no other area anywhere in the world. By copy of this truth, I'm asking my representatives to begin and successfully complete the process of signing these countries into the already historic Abraham Accords. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Joe Lang, anybody who has paid any attention to Trump already knew that a permanent peace deal with Iran was coming, but Trump is always working on something much bigger than anybody expects. Can you see what's coming? Anybody remember the photos of the very public signing of the original Abraham Accords that caught the world by surprise? Do you realize that another public event is coming and the biggest proxy of the cabal in the Middle East is about to change and transform before the world's eyes? They will participate in the next public signing. How do you make permanent peace in the Middle East? Remove the purposeful divisions that have been sown for generations and create a path of economic partnership where everyone can prosper. The focus is on signing a peace deal, but Trump is replacing war with opportunity and sovereignty, economic prosperity for all people, including the people in the Middle East, who were forced to live in a battlefield because of our forever war on terror.
Gulf and throughout the Middle East are holding out hope that that deal that President Trump has talked about being nearly negotiated can get across the line. We also know that, according to one source, a delegation from Iran has headed to Qatar to continue those diplomatic efforts. But at the same time, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says they aren't in a rush and they're not going to make a bad deal.
Still a work in progress. As I said, we thought we might have some news last night. Maybe today. I wouldn't read too much into it. It takes a little while to hear back. So we have what I think is a pretty solid thing on the table in terms of their ability to open up the straits, get the straits open, enter into a very real, significant, time-limited negotiation on the nuclear matters. And hopefully we can pull it off.
Rubio, who's in India right now, was also asked what's holding up getting a deal across the line. He says there's things that they need to hear back on, and the Iranian system takes a little time. But he insisted they're going to have a good agreement, and they'll get a deal across the line one way or another. So here's where things stand at the moment. The framework is said to be 90 to 95% complete. Iran would reportedly give up its stockpiles of enriched uranium, stop enriching it, and help reopen the strait, and agree to broader regional ceasefire. In exchange, Iran would get sanction relief, a gradual easing of the U.S. blockade, and broader economic normalization. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian says any negotiations will not compromise the country's dignity.
Yeah. News is out reporting that. The biggest part of this, folks, is bringing in that uranium and testing it to find out where it came from. No deaths, no dollars. California Post put this out, huh? Iran must give up its nukes or it will not get any sanctions or relief. Water. Watch the water. Why is this event big? Identifying the illicit materials, U.S. National Laboratories and Department of Energy analyzed confiscated nuclear materials to determine their origin. The isotopic watermark reveals if the uranium was mined in the American West, enriched in another country, or reprocessed from other reactor waste. We were told on the Intel board, the Q board, watch the water. Remember, President Trump said the enriched uranium nuclear dust will be either immediately turned over to the United States to be brought home and destroyed, or preferably in conjunction and coordination with the Islamic Republic of Iran, destroyed in place or at another acceptable location with the Atomic Energy Commission or its equivalent being witness to this process and event. Thank you for your attention to this matter. BioClandestine says, interesting, Trump says he prefers to destroy the enriched uranium in place in conjunction with Iran, so long as the IAEA or its equivalent are present to witness the process and event. It's not like we need the uranium for use. We just need to test for its origins and then destroy it so Iran or anyone else can never use it. This surely would be a much faster and less messy process than trying to excavate it all and transfer it back to the U.S., regardless of which route they decide to go down. The U.S. Military Department of Energy, along with the IAEA, are going to take samples of the uranium for testing if they haven't done so already. Trump talking about the logistics would suggest we are getting closer to the final deal. Observing consciousness come in comes in with this: take down the deep state and a new world order. Tariffs were never about economics alone. They were about cutting the feeding tubes of powerful parasites that spent decades hollowing out the industrial spine of nations while disguising dependency as globalization. Every shuttered steel mill, every aluminum smelter closure, every transshipment loophole through Mexico, Canada, Poland, and elsewhere became another extraction channel where sovereign production was quietly replaced by financial engineering, outsourced labor arbitrage, manipulated trade flows, and controlled scarcity. Trump's tariff framework was never simply protectionism. It was the beginning of an economic perimeter wall around America's industrial survival system. Steel, aluminum, semiconductors, energy, shipping, AI infrastructure, and military readiness all reconnecting into one sovereign stack. Now, overlay the Iran negotiations and Abraham Accords expansion onto the framework, and the larger architecture emerges. Stabilize the Middle East energy spine while rebuilding domestic industrial capacity at the same time. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Egypt, Jordan, Turkey, Pakistan, and Bahrain. These are not random diplomatic names on a press release. They are strategic geography nodes sitting across maritime choke points, energy corridors, military routes, trade gateways, and financial arteries that power the modern world. Trump is openly attempting to fuse economic normalization, regional diplomacy, energy security, manufacturing sovereignty, and military deterrence into one integrated operating system where war loses profitability and stable trade becomes more valuable than engineered chaos. The possibility of Iran eventually entering the Abraham Accords reveals how massive this restructuring truly is. Former adversaries being pulled into a unified economic security framework large enough to alter the trajectory of the entire region. What terrifies the old system, the old guard, is not simply peace. It is traceable peace tied to sovereign production, secured supply chains, stable shipping corridors, audited trade flows, and nations beginning to transact outside the invisible toll booths controlled by these financial middlemen and conflict profiteers. Every steel plant reopened, every loophole closed, every normalized trade corridor, every stabilized maritime route, every sovereign energy agreement removes another feeding tube from the parasite architecture that became unimaginably wealthy from endless war, dependency, sanctions games, intelligence manipulation, NGO laundering pipelines, and manufactured instability. That is why pressure comes from every direction simultaneously whenever these systems begin reconnecting to tangible, productive value. Because the battle was never just political, it was always about who controls the operating system underneath civilization itself. And if you guys pause and you look at your screen, you'll see these graphics that have been put together by Observing Consciousness, and he does a phenomenal job. If you go follow him on X, you'll notice that he has been putting out a lot of great information. I subscribe to him also at HOLON above, Observing Consciousness on X. Some more on these big moves that are playing out would be our precious metals. Remember, we have the unusual findings in the silver market. Central banks are buying gold under the radar. Something has been going on. And if they're doing it, well, we know something is playing out. And Dr. Kirk Elliott ensured that we knew about this in our latest interview that we dropped on Saturday. We hope you go check it out. And we know.com/gold. You can reach out to him and actually have a conversation with somebody on his team, and they will guide you in the right direction, folks, to jump on board with precious metals. It'll be phenomenal for you. Another victory in Texas. Finally, the pro-Sharia Wiley East High School principal stepping down. You got to have the positive things, too. To the amazing Marco Hunter Lopez, after months of standing tall against a school that failed you and treated you poorly for speaking out. We finally have progress, says Amy Meck. Wiley East High School principal Tiffany Doolin is stepping down. In her resignation letter, she called it a difficult and bittersweet decision. After weeks of praying and reflecting on what is best for her family, Marco, your courage is exposing the blatant double standards the unapproved Why Islam group allowed on campus to hand out Qurans, Sharia pamphlets, and hijabs, while your Republican student club was stonewalled, has delivered real results. Thank you for testifying before Congress and never backing down. Now, some other things, in case you're looking at your screen, you see how Planned Parenthood's building matches the sacrificial temples that were set up to, right, destroy children. You guys see that temple? Well, it's amazing how Planned Parenthood looks just like it, huh? Listen to this.
A lot of liberals are going to be upset, but she's telling the truth.
Why are we giving you money and you don't even, you getting rid of it? Like, you don't even want the responsibility. Okay. And we are rewarding women for terminating their pregnancy and then calling a man a deadbeat. So if the father doesn't want the baby, by law, he's forced to be responsible for the baby for 18 years. They make him pay child support. They'll put him in jail. They'll take his license, everything, if he doesn't want the baby. But if the mother doesn't want the baby, she gets to terminate the baby and get a pat on the back. And they call the father the deadbeat. But you the deadbeat, mama, not the daddy. You deaded the beat. You stopped the heartbeat. You're the deadbeat, not the man, not the dad. So, I mean, at the same time, they want equal rights. Well, if a woman should be able to abort a baby when she doesn't want it,
then the man should be able to walk away when he doesn't want it.
A man should be able to abandon the baby when he doesn't want it. And then we can be able to see how ridiculous all of this really actually sounds.
Being interviewed by Laura Logan, and that episode you can go find out there. But again, the reminder of how this is all playing out for our country as we're watching morality get destroyed. You know, Face the Nation tried to make Memorial Day, somber, right? But these guys, the two, oh man, these guys are amazing. Lieutenant Colonel William Swenson, Medal of Honor recipient, and we've got another one here in a moment. Listen to what she tries to do, and they're not having it.
We are coming up on this 250th anniversary of the American experience. What specifically makes you optimistic? Because this country at times can feel dark these days. There's a lot of darkness. What makes you feel optimistic?
Well, there's so much darkness. I mean, President Trump just keeps getting these wins at 100%. And President Trump's bringing prosperity back to our nation. And he's bringing tariffs. And it looks like he's going to get rid of the IRS. And he's destroying the deep state and all these folks that have destroyed our nation and hurt our children. He's sealed the borders up, and he's deporting all these illegals that killed and raped women and more. I mean, it's so dark. Tell us how you feel, Medal of Honor winner.
Ultimately, because we're in Washington, D.C., and everything revolves around politics, we have to remember that politics aren't everything. American lives continue on. Children are born.
Lieutenant Colonel William Swenson.
Children go to school. Lives are achieved, dreams are achieved. This country is a great place. It's not politics. It's not just what's the news bites coming off of media. Ultimately, we continue forward as a country, continually imperfect, continually evolving forward, always trying to achieve a more perfect union. That's what's important to remember, what we can achieve aspirationally. No other place in history, time, or on this planet have ever gotten to where we are today. We need to be proud of that, and we need to remember that is what we stay focused on, what we can be.
What we can be, and the promise of it. What makes you optimistic?
It's so important to remember who we are as a country and take an opportunity.
Command Sergeant Major Matt Williams, retired Medal of Honor recipient.
To celebrate that and think about all the challenges that we've overcome, how far we've actually come. I think if you frame it that way, you think very deeply about our trials and tribulations from beginning to today. We've made tremendous strides. Our country is, we're a global superpower. Our economy is doing well. All those things are great. And take politics aside, out of this whole conversation. Be grateful for what you've got and the opportunities that it's provided for you. And if you do that, I don't see how you can't be optimistic about our future.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. Thank you both. And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
She didn't like those answers, did she? Trained artist to try to make it look like everything's so dark and terrible. Yeah, it's dark and terrible for you because all of the old guard is getting removed. President Trump had this had posted "locked in" with his face there. The timestamp on that was 9:49 a.m. Kimberly Hour caught this. Yo, drop 9:49. Trust the plan, full control. That's the message they want for all of us in the midst of everything that's going on. Now, I found this with one of my favorite songs, which I'll play in a minute. Country star and U.S. Marine Corps veteran Jamie Johnson. He performed In Color. I'm going to play that to close today during the National Memorial Day concert. I didn't realize he served. This is respect from Okie Patriot.
I'm Jamie Johnson. I'm from Montgomery, Alabama.
Memorial Day concert was phenomenal. And he had an opportunity to play one of my favorite songs as we close.
Perfect. You should have seen it in color.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before your throne once again. So thankful for how you continue to take care of our nation. Take care of many across this earth who have been crying out to you for support, for help, for guidance, for direction, and so much more. We know we face a battle against an enemy, principalities and powers that are unseen. We realize that before our very eyes, we continue to see those that have been traitors against our very nation. We watched how you've systematically put out information through the right people at the right time over many years to ensure at this time in history we would then again face a battle, but not alone. Face a battle with you guiding, directing the hearts of many of our leaders who trust you. Many of our leaders who come before your throne daily, looking for help, guidance, wisdom, and more. We ask you continue to protect them, protect our nation, protect those around this earth who are crying out for real leadership. One day at a time, we've seen masterfully your hand helping guide and direct the freedom we've been wanting from this enemy who will never go away, we know. But in a sense, in a biblical fashion, we could watch them get washed away like the Red Sea, and we could finally go to freedom. After that, we know that many in freedom will still turn to idols and still turn to those things that comfort them. But we ask and pray that you give us the direction and the support and the wisdom that we need to talk to our neighbors, talk to those around us. We're going to be needing the truth, who will need Jesus Christ in their life. Would you guide and direct us in helping bring that message to them, message of salvation to so many. We bring this before you in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Hope you have a great remainder of your week. We look forward to getting into June. And this summer, it's going to be a hot summer. But boy, some great things I feel are coming. For now, it's LT Semper Fi with Them We Know. Signing out.
On the U.S. House level 101 times. He's won 101 times. Trump endorsed U.S. Senate. He's won 8 times, and we're about to find out tonight whether or not that will be number 9, Laura. So 50 minutes, and now you can take the endorsement from 8 to 9 endorsed, and from 8 to 9 winner. Ken Paxton was outspent 9-1.
They want to win. I know how to win. Some of them don't know how to win. I know how to win. I think I've proven that, haven't I?
You certainly are going against the Republican establishment here. Why?
You know, Ken Paxton has been a fighter in the AG's office. He's been a fighter for the president, and he's going to continue doing that in Washington. And I think that's exactly what the people of Texas are looking for.